Episode 4, Karma Never Misses, extended finale. Episode 4, Karma Never Misses. The grand courtroom was frozen in absolute shock. Julian stood paralyzed as the two state detectives walked directly toward him. His expensive attorneys quickly stepped in front of him, trying to block the path. "Your Honor, this is an outrage," his lead lawyer yelled, waving his hands defensively. "My client is a respected businessman. You cannot execute an arrest warrant in the middle of a probate hearing without presenting a formal indictment first." The federal prosecutor stepped forward, his voice cutting through the noise like a razor blade. "The indictment was signed by a grand jury exactly 2 hours ago, Counselor," he said coldly. "Your client isn't just facing asset fraud. We have a signed confession from Nurse Brenda Higgins, who admitted that Julian Vance paid her $50,000 cash to secure restricted cardiac medications from the hospital vault. We have the text messages, the bank withdrawals, and the forensic toxicology report confirming that Arthur Vance died of an intentional drug overdose." My mother let out a horrific, blood-curdling scream from the gallery. She looked at Julian, her eyes wide with a mixture of terror and disgust. "Julian, tell me they are lying," she wept, clutching her chest tightly. "Tell me you didn't hurt your father. Tell me you didn't do this." Julian didn't answer her. The mask of the perfect, charming golden child completely shattered right before our eyes. His face contorted into a mask of ugly, desperate rage. He turned his head slowly and locked his eyes on me. His teeth gritted so hard I could hear them grinding. "You did this," Julian hissed, his voice dripping with pure venom. "You ruined everything, Elias. You were always a pathetic, jealous piece of trash. You were supposed to just accept your place and starve in the gutter." He suddenly lost all control. Julian lunged across the defense table, his hands outstretched, trying to grab my throat. But the state detectives were faster. They tackled him instantly to the polished wooden floor, slamming his face against the ground. Julian screamed and thrashed like a wild animal as the handcuffs were clicked tightly around his wrists. The officers dragged him to his feet, his expensive designer suit now ripped and covered in dust. The elite attorneys he hired didn't say a single word. They quietly packed up their leather briefcases and walked out of the courtroom, completely abandoning him. Julian was dragged out through the side doors, sobbing and screaming for our mother to save him. But for the first time in her life, she didn't move a single inch to help her favorite son. The courtroom cleared out, leaving only me, my mother, and the heavy silence of justice. My mother walked over to my table, her legs shaking violently. She looked at me, her eyes red from crying, filled with a deep, crushing guilt. "Elias, oh my God, Elias, I am so sorry," she whispered, reaching out a trembling hand to touch my arm. "I was so blind. You sacrificed your life, your money, your health to save your father, and I threw you out into the rain for a monster. Can you ever forgive me?" I looked at her hand on my arm. I felt no anger left in my heart, only a profound, hollow sadness. "I forgive you, Mom," I said softly, gently pulling my arm away from her touch. "But things will never be the same. You chose your favorite a long time ago, and I had to learn how to survive in the dark." I turned my back on her and walked out of the courtroom into the bright afternoon sunlight. 3 months later, the high-profile criminal trial of Julian Vance began. The courtroom was packed with journalists, extended family members, and curious strangers. Julian sat at the defense table, but he looked completely different now. The expensive suits were gone, replaced by a drab orange prison jumpsuit. His hair was messy, and the confident, arrogant smirk had completely vanished from his face. His new court-appointed lawyers tried desperately to argue that Nurse Brenda was the true mastermind. They claimed she had poisoned my father on her own and was now trying to frame Julian to save herself. But the prosecution was completely prepared for their desperate lies. They entered Julian's personal laptop into evidence, showing his internet search history from weeks before the murder. He had searched for untraceable heart failure drugs and lethal doses of beta blockers. They also presented the definitive GPS tracking data from his luxury Maybach, placing him at Nurse Brenda's apartment complex on the exact night the cash bribe was delivered. The evidence was an absolute mountain, completely ironclad and undeniable. The jury took less than 45 minutes to reach a unanimous verdict. When the jury foreman stood up and read the word, guilty on all counts, Julian collapsed into his chair, weeping openly. The judge looked down at him with an expression of pure disgust before passing the final sentence. Julian Vance, your actions represent the highest level of cruelty and greed, the judge stated firmly. You took the life of the man who gave you everything, simply to fund your own lavish lifestyle. Therefore, I sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole, to be served at a maximum security facility. A week after the final sentencing, my mother went to visit Julian in prison one last time. She hoped to see some spark of remorse or regret in her favorite child. Instead, when she sat behind the glass partition, Julian glared at her with terrifying eyes. He slammed his fists against the glass and blamed her for his downfall. If you had just given me the money when I asked, I wouldn't have had to do it, Julian screamed through the intercom. You ruined my life. I hate you, and I hope you rot alone. My mother hung up the phone, finally realizing the true nature of the monster she had raised and protected for so long. She moved out of the city shortly after, unable to face the judgment of our neighbors, and now lives a quiet, lonely life in retirement. As for me, I finally inherited my father's house, just as he had always intended before Julian's intervention. But walking through those empty hallways only brought back painful memories of my father's suffering. I decided to sell the luxury estate, which closed for a final price of $1.5 million. First, I paid off every single cent of the massive medical debt I had accumulated while working extra night shifts to save my father. Then, I bought a modest, beautiful apartment in a quiet, peaceful neighborhood near the city park. I also made sure to secretly reward Dr. Sanders and Nurse Brenda's replacement, the people who actually cared about the truth. With the remaining funds, I established a formal non-profit organization called the Arthur Vance Foundation. The foundation provides emergency financial grants to low-income families who cannot afford life-saving surgeries or critical medications. No child should ever have to choose between going completely bankrupt or letting their parent pass away. Today was a crisp, beautiful autumn morning. I drove out to the quiet cemetery on the hillside, carrying a small bouquet of fresh white flowers. I walked up to my father's clean headstone and gently placed the bouquet on the stone. I leaned down and traced the engraved letters of his name with my fingers. It's completely over now, Dad, I whispered, a warm tear escaping my eye and dropping onto the green grass. Julian can never hurt anyone ever again. The truth came to light and your memory is safe. I'm taking care of people now, just like I took care of you. Rest in peace. A gentle breeze swept through the trees, rustling the golden leaves all around me. For the first time in my entire life, I didn't feel like the shadow in the corner. I didn't feel like the unloved, forgotten son. I felt incredibly light. I felt completely free. Justice had finally been delivered, and the golden child's dark secret was buried forever. Julian thought his status as the golden child made him untouchable. But in the end, karma proved that no one can escape the consequences of their evil actions. Elias lost his father, but he gained his freedom, his dignity, and delivered the ultimate justice. Thank you so much for following this incredible 4-part journey with us on Littell's All. If you loved seeing justice served and want more gripping, emotional stories just like this one, please give this video a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss a new series. and drop a comment below, kept letting us know your favorite part of the story. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.